time and space. So creativity becomes not a negotiation as to what will I create, but an essential nature that we must embrace and express. So we must reclaim a definition of creativity that includes all of us. You are not uncreative. They told you that because you couldn't dance or sing like the rest of us here. But creativity is the yearning of the human soul to reclaim its essence, to express its divinity, to reach its fullness in time and space. Guys, a lot of thoughts. I know I just live in this beautiful world where God is wrapping up on me and loving me with divinity and DNA, and I'm loving it. But guess what? I'm doing some amazing projects this year. So one of the projects I'm doing is a 2D feature film that I've struggled with for 4 years. Because we jumped in too deep. We didn't know how hard it was. First, we couldn't find talent to work on it because it was a style that was very sophisticated. We went way too high for what our culture could give us. And then we wanted to partner with South Africans. They billed us $8 million. We came back and spoke in tongues. All right, but that didn't get us the money very quickly. But I was learning something. Sometimes God sends you into the wild to learn the road. I was never, guess what? I'm not having to have conversations with, I have about 3 projects that is actually averaging about $3, $4, $5 million. I'm bold about it, right? In fact, it's a quantum year because I just entered into this place of possibility. I said, I need that film now. I need you now. I need you now. Let's make it work. So, but guess what? The last 5 years was a school for me. Tough school, but I'm a better businessman because I went through that. So I really want you guys to discover the capacity. So what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be a leader? It's to actually discover the capacity of God in you. That's what leadership is. It's actually discovering the human spirit, the capacity of God in you, and harnessing that, expressing that, and scaling it. So whether you're a storyteller or a writer, you have an endless possibility to exist in many ways. The world, there are more sounds than we have named. There are more genres than we have called. There are more arts than we've experienced. Because we are we're actually the marvel God is put here in time and space to unravel. So we're his masterpiece, we're his poema, whereas his poem is masterpiece. But we're a living masterpiece because in us, he made us an expression of himself and then gave us the capacity to continue that expression of his being. All right, guys, let's not get into Sunday. I'm so sorry, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll go into it. You're going first. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our guests to us. We have 3 important, very beautiful, wonderful guests. First, we start with their short speeches, their inspirational speeches. People like to call it their TED Talk. This is creative talk. How to introduce this man of God is the thing for me.
I will come back for him to make a lot of changes. But it was always a delight. He was always there to help. I mean, we've done some interesting projects. I mean, he also worked off a lot of countries. Oh my. All right. Yeah, he did.
Thank you. So, creative legacy. Creating wholeness, building bridges, and leaving a lasting impact. I would like to introduce you to my very good friend and boss, Ikechukwu Kalu, also known as Ike is Light. He's an artist manager, he's an event producer, and a visionary founder of God's Camp Party. How many people have been to God's Camp Party here? Okay. A movement curating vibrant, faith-filled events for young people. With a background in computer technology from Babcock University in 2013, and a music business certification from 2023. He seamlessly integrates tech and digital strategies into faith-based entertainment. Ike manages Afro gospel artist Gaze Baba, produces the Aramanda Festival, and contributes to the Black Film Podcast. I don't know if anybody knows. All those names I'm dropping names. You should be clapping. There's that. There's that. He's passionate about creating transformative experiences. Yes. Is redefining faith-driven entertainment with innovation and purpose. Please, with a round of applause, I would like you to welcome to the stage Ike is Light.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You called me first. Wow. It's good to be here. Mostly I don't talk. I just do. Okay, 10 minutes. I'm supposed to speak about shaping culture and reforming society. Quick question though, has anybody really thought of why you do what you do? Like, why? Like, I'm currently into music. I'm like, why? What orchestrated me to be doing music? But why can't I be something else? Like, have you ever thought about that thing before? And for creatives, like, you should think about it like every 2 years because 2 years is far. 2 years is far. I feel like why can't I just be a regular guy and just climb the ladder? Why? Yeah, because I don't know why the journey is like that for us, but what I've also understood is when I look at my past, I see that I didn't start it, to be honest. Like Pastor Freddy was saying, when God spoke to Jeremiah, I knew you before you were from your mother's womb. Like me, for instance, I play the drums. I honestly did not plan to play drums. It was just when I was a child, just play around with everything in the house. Then somehow, my church, we didn't have a drum set. But I don't know who inspired my pastor to get a drum set. And they got a drum set in the church, but there was nobody to play it. And I remember in secondary school like with the band and everything, it's just usually the snare. You get the snare and the big drum. I could play the snare, but drum set felt like a lot. Like, what? Just a lot of things to play at the same time. You should separate these things. But because of the drum set was just sitting down right there in church, there was nobody playing it. Then I just started playing it. You get, and from that, I entered, that went on like that. University time, there was just this one roommate. Most people wake up in the morning and they will want to pray or play music. The right thing to do in a room of 7 people, you should plug your ears, right? Right? This guy played rock songs, God Almighty, rock songs in the morning, 5 a.m. every single day. All the roommates hated it, except me. I don't know why. I'm an able boy. Nothing concerns me with rock music, but I just liked it. So it went on like that, and I joined a rock band in Nigeria of all countries. Oh my goodness. I did that thing for like 9 years. And my father never understood it. He never understood it. He's an Igbo man. What are you doing with your life? And I went to Babcock University. That's some good money for school fees. And you came out of university, what do you want to do? Rock music. And as I was going to explain it to himself, it didn't even make sense to me. But what I mean, I did that. And like I said, every 2 seconds, I kept asking myself, why? Why can't I just be normal? And I came up with 2-1 in computer technology. Like, I could have just gone into tech. Like, to be honest, I finished at the age of, I've not even 20 years yet. I finished at like 19. So, like, my head is hot. On a more serious, like, but why? I have to find my roommates, right? So I don't know why. And some things will just happen, like, around me. Like, why am I passionate about this thing? Like, sometimes I'll just abandon it. Look for something else to do. Like, try to be useful in life, as people will call it. But I do that for a while, and the next thing I find myself, I'm playing drums in the rock band. Why? And it just kept on going like that. I remember one particular time, and also grew into, because of my faith, I grew into hating the barbing salon. Perhaps if you notice very well, I don't go to the barbing salon much. It's because barbing salon is for everybody, children, adults, it's for everybody. But I don't know why it's always on MTV base or Trace music videos most of the time. And I'm looking at this song. This boy should not be hearing this. Checking my point, like, this is for plus 25. And they just play it, and you see the music videos. It's not everything is out there. One day I Googled who are the people in charge of things that happen on TV. I checked the board. I saw the men that were there, women, men, like 5 or 6 people on that board. But they were like big people in the industry, like one of the chairman for DSTV, and some strong men. Like, for me to attain this thing, I was like, I want to be on the board so that I can tell them people are doing nonsense outside. You get, but I'm still on that journey, I guess. But what I'm trying to say is, I grew into that from playing drums, joining a rock band. The next thing, I'm an artist manager. I'm an A&R. I listen to music a lot. Like, it's what I do now. I do events. Events is based on when I was in that rock band. When they will not call you because I didn't rock. So you have to do your own show yourself. So because of the number of times that I've done show myself, I grew that that skill. So I'm just trying to explain that in your journey, if you really think about it as a creative, it honestly didn't start from you. It started from God, and I understood that clearly from Ephesians 2 verse 10. Let me not be misquoting. I don't misquote. I don't think. So you can. Yeah, for his workmanship here in Christ Jesus. Yeah, we're created for good works. He has prepared for us beforehand. Like, so it made me understand that. So some things were laid down for you to do before you came. Just align yourself into it and just be a part of it. So the second thing I want to talk about is what your hand findeth to do it with all your mind and your heart. Why I am here today doing what I do is because at every point in my life, I did my best. You get, like, when you ask people, some people, what do you do in life? Say, I do my best. You get, so I did my best in every field in every space that I was. And that grew me into where I am. And this was part of that scripture. I also want to quote. Sorry, I'm a scripture person. I'm coming. Yeah, Colossians 3, verse 23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your hearts, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. So I took everything as a form of worship. You get, like, it's reference to God. Like I said, it's like Pastor Martin always say, worship is obeying God is, do you get my point? Like, he has created this path for me. I should just accept it. Do you get? Most times, what has been our struggle of going back and forth is we don't want to accept it. Some people have accepted it and just move on with it. Do you get my point? And most times for creatives, that's because of that back and forth every 2 months. You are thinking about it. It's not allowing you to honestly like put in your best in it because you are still doubting. So my own conclusion is accept it. All right? Hopefully it turns out well for you. Thank you very much. It will turn out well for you. So.
Thank you very much. Clap for him now. Thank you very much, boss. This next person is, you all know me as somebody that likes to enjoy life. Yeah, life is sweet. But this person embodies it. There's just a thing about her. Epic. When I look at her, I think about the word epic. Making a bold statement with your life. An epic life is one where you actively design your path, embracing adventures that align with your deepest desires. It's about making intentional choices that reflect your values and aspirations, leading to a life that's both fulfilling and impactful. Uduak Bassey is a creative producer and co-founder of 1117 Collective, a production house specializing in food and beverage imagery. She has created compelling visuals for global brands like Coca-Cola, Unilever, Bailey's, and Nestle, bringing campaigns to life with precision and artistry. And when I say precision and artistry, it is precision and artistry. Now, as a producer at Matestry Studios, Uduak is shaping Africa's food culture through documentary storytelling. Our journey is defined by bold choices, breaking conventions, embracing creativity, and using visual storytelling as a tool for cultural impact, guided by a philosophy of opting into life. Okay. She navigates both work and life with passion, purpose, and a commitment to making a change. With a round of applause and with grace, please welcome Miss Epic.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much, MJ, for the invitation. Okay, so what if I told you that an epic life is not one that is handed to you, but is one that you actually opt into, is one that you decide for yourself? And so, okay, let me give you the dictionary definition of opt-in. And it pretty much means to choose to do. So imagine you're scrolling online on your computer and you're looking for a remote job that pays in dollars, right? And you go on a job listing site and you get a pop-up that now says, oh, do you want to get new job listings every day? What do? You put your email in and then that means you opted into receiving those listings from them daily in your inbox. Now imagine if you didn't do that and then you were still getting the emails. That would be like unethical, right? And I think about life in that way a lot. Like, we're here. We did not choose to be here. Like, maybe some of you did some things and chose to be here, Sha. But like, I didn't choose to be here, but like, I'm here. God made me here. So how do I make the best of it? Or what do I do about it, given that I can't just hit the unsubscribe button? And, or maybe you can't, Sha. But maybe you don't want to. But yeah. So that leads me to my concept of philosophy of the opt-in to life mindset. So now let me give you my definition. Opting into life is an intentional and proactive approach towards life where you constantly vet your thoughts, action, and choices to be sure you chose them. It is a life in which your days are not made up of subconsciously towing a line because of cultural influences, societal pressures, ego or trauma or fear or the media. So to be clear, there's nothing really wrong with external influences, right? We belong to different cultures, and our cultures have like good things about them, which we pick up from, and even picking up from other cultures, right? Like Yoruba people like to enjoy life and have fun, and I like that, right? And so that's something like they will celebrate like every little milestone. And so that teaches me just like being present and celebrating yourself, celebrating your people, showing up for people. So I mean, like, I used to think like Africans are so family oriented, but then have you met Arabs? They don't joke with like family. Like they don't joke with family and even like community. You think someone is their blood brother. They never met the person before. They just found out that they were from the same area in Lebanon or something. Do you understand? And I mean, it's stuff that I learn from. I'm trying to opt in to be a better family member. And I mean, even if you pick my culture, they say that I'm ethics, are so hospitable. I don't know, like, and I naturally am, but I find myself thinking, I mean, if they say ethics are hospitable, there's nothing wrong with me trying to be hospitable, right? I'm not necessarily doing it because I am ethical and I'm expected to do that, but it's actually a good thing to be that. So I'm not saying this from the perspective of dumping every kind of external influence, right? But just to be sure that you thought about them and you chose them. And I'll say that that has sort of permeated my journey in life and my creative journey with work. So a bit of backstory. Let me not go so back. Let me go to what I do now. So how I started what I do is, so my partner that I work with, my partner is also my husband. So he always did photography. I was, at that time, I would say like a hobbyist photographer. But hobbies in the sense that I wasn't doing it professionally, but like I was trained properly for it, because the way I worked when I was much younger is that I was on a journey to like explore the different aspects of myself. So I had like an academic side, very academic, but then I also had a creative side. During like the school cycle, obviously, you're focused on your academics, right? But then you have holidays. I always saw them as opportunities to explore my creative side, which school didn't give me the opportunity for. So this holiday, I would decide that I want to learn photography. So I actually did like a brief stint at Kelechi Amadi's studio. I found someone who knew someone who could at least let me go there for a couple of months and just like learn, since I was interested in this. And another time, I figured, I like fashion, let me figure out sewing. So I actually did a sewing course for a couple of months, learned to sew and all that. Another time, I decided that, I liked food. Maybe, I don't know if I would say I still like food, but like I liked just the food industry and all aspects of it, right? And I liked exploring different foods. So I went to I did like an apprenticeship at Transcorp, right? I did an apprenticeship at Transcorp that holiday to learn in the kitchen, right? And as I was coming, they were thinking, this Ajebota girl, we're going to suffer her. And so literally I'll come at 7 a.m. and there's like a large basket of like vegetables, like what's the vegetable we used to make edika and kong? The main water leaf. And then the other one for ugu, for me to chop every single morning, like a big basket. And yeah, so I would do that. Sorry? Yes. So I would do all that. And I mean, I was doing that because I feel you said you like food. Figure out what this industry is about or what everything. So I would do that every day. I'll go at 7. It was quite stressful. I burnt my fingers a lot of times and stuff like that. But I was just on a journey to exploring all the creative aspects of me that, I mean, at least I knew about at the time. So that was mostly when I was still in school. And then after school, did like NYSC. For context, I studied communications and advertising, which is still pretty much like in the creative sector. So post-work, I was working on a fashion project at that time, but then at a point it was stalled on pause. And before this, let me dial back a bit. Again, back to my partner at that time. He was doing photography, and he had a client, family friends who were starting up a restaurant, and they wanted someone to come take pictures of the food. And he knew photography, but he didn't know so much about taking pictures of food because it's a whole different ball game. So he called me to join him on the project because he figured, okay, I know a bit about photography, maybe not as experienced professionally, and then I like taking pictures of food. I would always take pictures of food and just document food. So I should join him because I would have the eye, so I could guide him even if I'm not doing the actual shooting. But I also had a camera, so I could join him on that. And at that project, we didn't really know what we're doing. We're just freestyling. But at the same time, the clients didn't have such high expectations as well. So, I mean, it worked out well. The deliverables were good. What we had to offer them was good enough for them. But I had so much fun doing it. And I was now doing research online at that time, like Instagram. And I was like, I feel like a lot of restaurants around would need this service as well. Because at that point, you would just see a pixelated photo of a menu on Instagram of a restaurant. Now, you see actual food pictures, reels, and stuff. But then, years ago, you wouldn't see anything. Sometimes they wouldn't even have a website, and people couldn't make informed decisions. So I figured that, this would make sense as a service to proposition them with, because if they see the value, if they see how we could help. So I quickly went into motion, right? I made sure we set up a website. I started making sure we do portfolio pictures we had that one that we'd done for the client, but we needed more. So to show what we could do. So we'd put our money, we'd put together our own shoot just to create a portfolio. And then we would actually go out to meet different clients or different restaurants. We write a list of restaurants. We start with restaurants we think can afford it, maybe from how their place looks. So they probably have money to spend on this. And so that's how we started with that. And we started doing work for restaurants. And he had mentioned that he thinks that we can approach brands. But then I'm sort of like a recovering perfectionist. So I'm even very critical to my own self and my own work. So if I feel like, Dad, let me just stay here. Let's build up some momentum. Let's get better. And whilst we were still trying to do that, a brand reached out to us, the brand manager. And that was the first big brand we worked for. And it was not, even if I was going to start reaching out to brands, I would not have reached out to that brand because it was Bailey's, right? And the brand manager reached out to us, really wanted us to do work. She didn't even want to waste time because usually with companies like that, you have to register directly with their procurement. But she didn't want to waste any time because she also wanted it for the quality of work for her own deliverables. Do you understand? So she was she'll put us in touch with her agency, and the agency will be the ones to pay us, since that would be a shorter process. And obviously, that gave me more courage after that work. They were really pleased with it, to step into the brand sphere and begin to pitch myself to the brands. And the interesting thing about this journey was, before I started it, I never ever knew that anything like food photography existed. It was not something that I saw, I knew about. I mean, it existed abroad, but I didn't know of it. And it wasn't even something that I saw in Nigeria. At that point in time, the only food photographers before us, there was only one. And even then, the way he approached the pictures was more, he took it like product shots. I don't want to get too technical, but it was more like product shots than, the way you take a picture of a product is different from the way you take pictures of food. So it was not as authentic and it was not as relatable. And so obviously, like, I'm skipping over steps in this journey. But me going into this space, I realized that there was a lot to learn, obviously. I had to take, like, a lot of courses from people outside Nigeria that were doing stuff like that, from the creative aspect, but then also from the business aspect of it. Because so many times, creatives get lost in the artistic aspect of it, and then you don't make any money, you don't know how to price yourself well, you don't know how to negotiate, and so many other things. So that's sort of how I got into the path that I am on now. And it's interesting because I feel like I created a niche for myself that I never saw coming, that I never knew existed. And I think that that's something that kind of drives me. So you know the scripture that talks about, in Corinthians, making the unseen seen. And obviously it talks about faith, right? But as a creative, I also strongly lean into that. I see like the creative process as, like Pastor Freddy likes to call it, cosmic plagiarism. The things that exist in my mind, the things that exist in the mind of God, because we are one with God and God is in us. I see it as a process of bringing the things that don't exist. It could be in your industry, it could be in your country. Bringing those things that don't exist and are not seen and making them seen, making them visible, making them obvious, making them sort of not being afraid to be a pioneer, right? Because so many times people want to take steps and we want to take steps and we want to go through like the predictable route and we want to do the things that, oh, someone is doing this and is successful. Let me sort of replicate that. Whereas, as we're all unique individuals, if you tap into your own self, there's something that you would bring out that you would be a pioneer in, or you would chart like a new course. And so that has pretty much been my journey. But like, as you know, the journey of like a creative is like one that you keep on like uncovering new paths. Like it's like you're walking through a bush and like as you're going, you're taking it down. And before, again, like I told you, I was a recovering perfectionist. So I wanted to know the full picture. I wanted to know everything. I had the idea that God will give you the purpose that you have at the end of your life at 70 years, and you start working towards that. But now I'm also just leaning into the journey as the joy. And the journey is also one that I'm working on with God. And as I go through the journey and as I'm experiencing the joy of that journey, I will discover even new things about myself. I will discover things that I never even knew existed. Like, I mean, think of it. 20 years ago, no one would have said, I want to be maybe an AI engineer, because they didn't even know those things existed. So the journey of a creative isn't one where you should cap yourself or cap your mind and think that this is what I want to be and this is all that I can be. Also rest in the journey and know that you will discover new things and you will discover new fields or industries that did not even necessarily exist. And like Pastor Freddy even talked about sounds that didn't exist. So if you want to say, oh, you're, at that point in time, I mean, some of these things are useful to explain yourself to people. They're useful to define yourself right now or just make people understand what you're doing right now. But also don't limit yourself. So if you like music, maybe you think right now in Nigeria it's Afrobeat music, right? Don't necessarily think that, oh, it's just Afrobeat, you limit yourself. Right now you can explain to people what you currently do, that is Afrobeat. But give yourself and your mind room to explore uncharted territory. So I segue to say that also right now I'm currently on a journey to, so in my field, right, because I was doing like a lot of pioneer work for the brands that I was working with. So for context, a lot of the brands that I now work with were the first local creatives to do those kind of work for them. So like we do a lot of work for Knorr. So for instance, in the past, if you see a picture, Knorr wouldn't even have a picture of eba and egusi soup, because all assets from Knorr came from either Rotterdam or the US. They are those global brands are very finicky, right? So even to get our company on board, we had to be approved by Regional in South Africa, right? They had to see our portfolio and vet us. So a lot of times they would shy away from doing localized things. And so because of that, they would disconnect with the Nigerian audience. So for years, they had been in search of people who could create localized content, but at the global level or at their global standard. And I mean, even the same thing with a brand like Coca-Cola. before, if you see a picture of maybe egusi and eba that was with maybe a bottle of Coke, egusi and eba is a Nigerian meal, but that picture was probably taken in Morocco or Egypt, and that's why sometimes you'll be like, this soup looks a bit dodgy, right? Because it was not in touch with the people that understood what the culture was about. And so in my journey of doing that kind of work with brands, I discovered the largely undocumented nature of just even African food or Nigerian food, because my work also involved a lot of research, because I would also have to create stuff that maybe represents the North or a specific tribe in the North, and I'll maybe need to research about it. I'll need to look for reference images. Sometimes, obviously, maybe I'll have to call maybe someone I know who might be Kanuri or Tiv or stuff like that. But I mean, the first thing we want to do is to check online, right? And a lot of times I'll go online sometimes. I can't even find these things that I'm looking for. And so I just realized the undocumented nature of our cuisine. And it's not just even in Nigeria, even across other African countries. And that led me to be like, and I like documentaries generally, and then I specifically like documentaries about culture and discovering things about other cultures on food. I always used to think that someone should start creating documentaries about African food now and African culture. But I got to a point that I was like, I will create documentaries about African food. I will create documentaries about African culture. And so that's kind of what I'm on the journey to doing now. And that's one of the major things that I'm working on. Currently, I have my first flagship project that I'm working on. I won't spill too much information, but you'll be on the lookout and you will definitely know when it's out. I think I've done my 10 minutes. Okay, thank you so much.
Ooh, thank you. A sister quickly chipped in. God is a creative, guys. And the earlier you start to realize that and start to live in the image of your maker, you start to create your own niche. You don't have to do what everybody's doing. Design, yes, like your father. Whew. Imprint. Creating a legacy that speaks beyond time. Again, God is a creative. As you simmer on that, I would like to introduce Floyd Igbo. Am I correct or did I mutter it? Yes, I tried that. He's a dynamic artist excelling in acting, writing, directing, painting, choreography, and voiceovers. His songwriting contributions include Adesua the Musical from 2017. We have Final Destination from 2022, and Man Talk, Woman Talk of 2023. He has collaborated with renowned directors like Bolanle Austin Peters and Kenneth Uhogbo. Thank you. Performing works by literary icons such as Wole Soyinka, Olarotimi, and Shakespeare. His screen credit spans 93 Days, Unmarried, Dilemma, and Hook, Line, and Sinker. Some of them ring a bell. With directing credits in productions like Magic of the Musicals from 2015 and Ibise, the Workstation Musical from 2024. Floyd holds a PhD in theater from University of Ibadan and currently serves as the president of the Association of Musical Theatre Artists, Lagos. With a warm round of applause, and he's a friend of the house, as PFA has said earlier. With a warm round of applause, we'd like to welcome Friend Agbo.
It's okay, man. Hello, Creative Tribe. Good. Thank you very much for having me. Such a pleasure. I was just looking at this poster, online poster. So creative. I'm curious as to who might have put it together. I was also randomly thinking about Ikechuk's roommates and how it might have been a terror for me to have lived in that room, hearing all that rock music every morning. But look how it paid off for you. Short story. Sometime in the 90s, in our living room in Enugu, the video recorder was playing, and a film titled The King and I, a 1956 film, was playing. And I saw the actor, Yul Brynner, a Russian actor who was playing Asian in the film. He held onto his co-star's waist, Anna, and the walls around this giant ballroom. There was just something about that performance that sort of sparked something in me. And I said to myself, I think I want to do this sort of job when I'm older. Now, fast forward to embarrassing myself from one stage to another before several audiences today. Upon seeing the title, Imprint, Creating Beyond Time, I began to interpret it in some questions. I said, what is the route to leaving an indelible mark as an artist? What's that route? What's that pathway? What will make me stand out as an artist in an entertainment industry that seems so saturated and highly competitive? What could that be? What can I do to make my artistic legacy linger on right after I've gone? This brings me back to Yul Brynner, because when I got older, I went to Google that man. I said, that King and I that struck me, how far? I realized that he won an Oscar as Best Actor for that year. Something about that performance. So right there, for me, was legacy that kind of inspired me. I feel like any artist worth their salt should ask themselves those questions that I asked earlier. Because you want to make sure that your art speaks. Your art is a transformative tool if you're really worth your salt. I suppose it starts from defining what success means to you. For some people, it might be the load of money you make from being that creative person. For some people, it might be how fulfilling you feel from sharing your art with people and transforming their lives positively. For me, I feel it's the latter. So I feel like that topic really asks how we can be impactful. How are we able to imprint our work such that it will stand the test of time? And to me, the first thing I think we should embrace is what I call professional integrity. So how do I define professional integrity? I see it as consistently adhering to ethical principles and moral conduct in professional duty. So you adhere to principles and moral conduct. To be honest, I feel like that's all we've got. We've heard this from time to time, that talent is not enough. I've heard from producers who would say they would rather hire an artist who would bring them peace. There's enough wahala in Nigeria already. So they'll be more attracted to hiring someone who has that ethical makeup. Have good work ethic. Learn it. Humans, we are intrinsically selfish. Many of the things we know today, we learned them. So I feel like to be able to imprint our mark, let's start by learning these ethics. Are you punctual to work? Do you show up prepared? Do you pursue excellence, whether what you have been given is a small role or a big role? There's a Russian theater maker, Stanislavski, who said, an actor prepares. So you're an actor. But do you really prepare? Preparation can seem hard. I really don't want to open that script now. I'm tired. Dinner was so, filling. But you need to prepare for you to shine, really. For me, to wave off the anxiety, I have to read that script over and over and over again. Because when you come to set, there's a lot you're grappling with. There's lights. It hits you. They turned off the AC so that the sound does not interfere. It's hot. Your co-star is whining. You're probably hungry from waiting. There's a lot of waiting. So there's a lot to deal with. So why not just wave off the anxiety and learn the lines at home. And when you come, there's little to grapple with. Because when you have all those distractions, it will surely affect the work. Is that the work that will leave a mark when you're gone? Read your script thoroughly. Learn your lyrics thoroughly. Practice your choreography if you have to. It is common knowledge that people like Michael Jackson and Beyonce Knowles and Leonardo DiCaprio, that all of those people invested their time in preparing. And today we talk about them on end. I feel like whatever will fight your professional integrity, you should delete it. For instance, if you were feeling ill and someone approached you with a job or you're tired, it's best you say no. Wait till you're healthy. You're required to give quality work. Your audience is waiting for quality work. Even the people who hired you, they demand quality, and you will also ask them for quality. So give quality, right? Pursue excellence. It cannot be overemphasized. And when you make a mistake, just apologize, be accountable, and don't beat yourself up. I remember doing a long-running play. Every night, the lines were crisp, we would say it, and then the back and forth, the ping pong was good. One night, I freeze in one line that I was supposed to say. I just couldn't remember how it started. How did it finish? How did it? And then I just said something else. The co-actor is like, and then I say something else. And then when it was all done, I was like, oh, I beat myself up so much. But what am I saying with this? I'm saying that it's not the pursuit of perfection, but actually excellence, because you're a human being and you are fallible. So just don't beat yourself up. It's how you recover that really matters. Study theater if you can. If you can't, attend seminars, attend workshops that will enlighten you, because these things will show. You didn't do a shortcut. If you went through these things, your art is going to shine. But I know that the challenge of many young people is that their parents won't let them study theater, won't let them go near places like that. In fact, I had classmates who were disowned. They ran away, I remember she was there, she ran away, she must study theater, But then you can only do what you can control, right? Yes. Some people did what their parents wanted them to study, and then when they gave them the certificates, they went, there's always a route to take. My parents, on the other hand, seemed quite supportive. I was so privileged, the fact that if you said to them that you wanted to be a carpenter, they would go buy you wood and hammer and say, hit your first nail, I'm looking at you, I remember my dad was driving and I was at the passenger seat. I didn't know the question was coming. Your mother said you want to study theater arts. Why? Oh, okay. Well, I think it's something I'll excel in. Okay. He just said okay, and that was it. I didn't hear anything from them again until it was time to now really study. They went for sabbatical leave because both parents are professors. They bought me loads of textbooks from the university they went to, and I began reading cover to cover. I liked to read textbooks, so I read them all. So they sort of prepared for what was ahead. The problem with many parents is that they don't want their students or pupils to embrace it, but the pupils and students, whether young or old, need to do what they have to do in order to shine eventually. Many people also don't have the funds to maybe launch their music career or buy dance shoes to attend dance classes or pay. But there's something about someone looking to you with cash, someone who has cash looking to you. Why would they look at you? Because they found you consumable. How can you be consumable? I think it's two things: consistency and excellence. If you're excellent and you are consistent, yes, to be honest, and it's not to consume you or your soul, no. It's to consume your art. You can only imprint your art for posterity if you're hired, or if in rare cases you hire yourself. So I wanted to say that some factors help. One is luck, because for every role there's like 10 to 20 people who can do it. But someone said you know. There's likability, there is appearance. and I feel like it's just the one you can control that you would work on. For instance, I think that one can control one's appearance. Some people will cast you based on that. Please don't look at the bed. I'm farming it for a film I have in like 3 days. So when you sign the contract to look a certain way, you have to damn all consequences. Under the hat is a horror. Because I'll play a man soon who's like down at his wit ends in a couple of days. So I think about some factors when we talk about creatives. There's talent that leads to skill, and then there's discipline, there's intention and passion. For talent, it can be innate, maybe a good speaking voice, but you need to get it to skill by developing it. So when you develop it, you now add discipline, that is putting it through a crucible. For instance, voice exercises or lip run, like, mama, you're drilling it. Peter Piper picks a pack of pickled paper. Peter Piper, before you know it, your mouth muscles are open, and you can do an array of accents. You can speak fluidly and clearly, because audibility is the first tool of any actor. Audibility, whether on stage or screen. If I can't hear you, I'm just looking at images, and you might not be communicating, right? I think that people should study the greats. Study the greats if you really want to shine, because art inspires art. There's nothing new under the sun. I like to look to people like, when I was younger, it was like Whoopi Goldberg, Eddie Murphy, Steve Martin. So when I grew up, I discovered people like Cillian Murphy, Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ramsey Noah, So I like to observe them. If I had to do a song on musical theater, like I'll look to Meryl Streep. She would use her hands and her eyes, If I wanted to do something comedy, if I was casting something comic, I'll go look to Kevin Hart. What is it that makes him tick, Don't be afraid to take risks. A lot of us play safe, and I don't know that those safe choices would imprint. I remember shaving my head off entirely because I was cast in a cancer role before a cancer patient, and I don't know, maybe there was something about the head, but I was told later that people were crying in the audience, but I feel like maybe that bold risk. Someone was like, I've never seen you like this, Floyd. You're originally sharp cut hair, blah, blah, blah. I said, I just wanted to take that risk, I stumbled upon Chinua Achebe online saying something about how literature, the literature he was taught in school was from a certain perspective where you would see the whites being pursued by the savages, and ignorant, then he would be on the side of the whites, just subconsciously. And then he took it upon himself to say, wait a second, this is like a one-sided, it's a danger of a single story, really. So he said, I will write literature that will reflect us in a certain, or that will tell the story differently. So for me, that's a risk, a bold risk, and it has put him in the limelight. As a performer, I feel like you should do a personality dialysis. Leave your prejudices at home. It is when the audience can hardly recognize you. Is it you? That's probably when you have done something that would be impactful. Leave your prejudices. Don't judge your character. Oh, my character has stuck a cigarette in his mouth. Do what that character's arc is, and do it well. I recall Pastor Ferdy attending a play I did, and after the play, he said to me, Floyd, you need deliverance. I was like, wait, is that a compliment? Is that a compliment? Oh, yeah, that's a compliment, because I played this, rough playboy, and I feel like he might have been taken by the parts to tell me that I needed deliverance. So for me, that was a personality dialysis, and I think that it might have stuck. Growing up, I realized that I was sort of versatile. I noticed I could paint, I could draw, I would sing special numbers in church, and I could move a little. And then when I grew older, I heard people saying things like, jack of all trades, master of none. I got a bit discouraged. I grew older again, and I realized that the saying was long. I said, jack of all trades, master of none is often better than a master of one. I said, wow, okay. Maybe I should relax now, because I said to myself, I'm not going to suppress these other gifts. They would shine out. I would draw it beautifully. Paint, So I am saying, if you're in that category, please don't suppress it. Express yourself, because at the end of the day, you find that those people who are telling you you're scattered, you're this, they probably want to be like you. You know, money, multiple streams of income. When you're that talented, trust me, it'll keep coming. Money is easy to make, but to keep it is difficult. Money is currency, it should flow. And when you have all those things, they'll be coming, right? So don't diminish that. I banished the pessimism and took flight. Not everyone needs to be versatile. Not everyone can be versatile, and that's okay. You don't have to be. I hear people criticizing some actors. It's only lover boy role you play. Lover boy, lover boy, lover boy. No two characters are the same. If it's Emeka lover boy is different from IK lover boy, they are two different stories. And he's telling it well. Is he doing it well? It's okay. Doesn't have to play an aviator one and a carpenter tomorrow. Not everyone can do that, and that's okay. I feel like any job you're given to do, give it your best shot. I learn that referrals as the new auditions, but don't get it wrong, auditions are not going anywhere. They're going to keep happening. But as an actor or a performer, do it well, because you never know. There are some actors who will say, oh, TV, don't worry, we'll learn the lines the night before. When it's film, they're like, it's film, we have to, no. But what if a casting director was watching you on TV and it was subpar and he had something he needed to cast? Is that just how it'll go? We're talking about imprint, leaving a lasting mark. And these are some of the things we need to pay attention to be able to. I said, Bolanle Austin Peters once saw me as I was playing the part of a chorister who was conducting a choir in a faith-based play. And I dissolved into this split during the choreography. And she was like, later on I got a call saying, Floyd, there's a role I've been thinking about. Do you think that you can play Fela? I was dumbstruck. I was like, it's not something I thought of ever doing, something I thought I would do or could do. But she was like, you know what, go look into his ovary, study his songs, we'll try something in a couple of weeks. That led me to do one of the biggest things I ever did in my life, perform live in front of Africa for the AMVCA 2017. I mean, live. If you fail, you fail. It was right there. And I dare say it was well received, I remember. So if I didn't do that first one well, it might have not led to these other things. I was also thinking about the other day, I did the first musical film of my life last year. And the director or the producer was telling me that, do you know when I saw you? I saw you in a play in 2015. That's about 9 years ago. And you stayed in my mind. My jaw dropped. I said, what? All that while? He said, I had you in mind, and I knew that when I produced this, you'll be the person I'll call. And I'm glad that we've made it. I was getting reports the other day that it's looking good, and I'm so happy. I think people should be avid students of life, because art reflects life, right? So how are you a creative if you don't study life? Study, learn from your older colleagues, learn from your younger colleagues, learn from your peers, learn from the resource materials available on the internet, and you're destined to fly. Some people are like, I can't, these Gen Z people, they don't want to be mentored, they don't want to. All you need to do is be an example, and they'll follow. You don't need to teach them what they already know. You just have to give them the platform to let them shine, and it will happen. I remember as an undergrad, a master student in UI, I would gather artists or dance aficionados, people who were interested in dance, and we would do dance covers to Nigeria pop artists like Adekunle Gold or Davido and all of that. I found I was learning from these young people, and it was vice versa. I'd learned about managing large casts. We pushed excellence together, and I was doing this with the little stipends they were giving me as an assistant, a university teaching assistant. It was a sort of scholarship, so I used what they gave me and arranged it. And it just helped me in the sense that years later, I was able to direct at least 6 theater productions when I moved to Lagos. I remember too that constantly trying to hone my art, even when I didn't have the resources, was helpful. I remember buying dance movies and studying them in my room and listening to people like Star Plus for music, and I just kept pushing the boundaries. Please don't mind my cue sheets. I just like to trail my thoughts. So I learned this late. Auditioning is something that will get you roles that will imprint. So learn to be open and smile. Usually I would call one, I would be like, they know what they want and they'll take what they want. But I've learned that the happier you are, they want to be your friends. They have a custom problem and you're there to solve it. So why not just, open up and be happy? And it's been better ever since. Share on stage, be kind on set. Some people, I think I did a film that just came out on Amazon Prime titled Shaping Us. I remember an experience with a co-actor of mine. It was my CV, and they shot me first, and I did mine. It was an emotional scene. I was talking about connections of fathers and sons. I was crying, And then it was his turn. I could have said, I'm exhausted. You know what, Buchi Franklin, you're going to have to do this. But then I remember channeling myself for his see you. And when he finished, because he actually shed a tear, which was cut in the vinyl cut, because I felt it wasn't really his story. But I remember him thanking me for it and saying, I wish, several of us can be this helpful to our colleagues on set. So I'll just skip to the end. Grit is key, perseverance is key as a thespian, because you'll be tested with uncertainty and rejection and unemployment, but you need to keep moving. Moving is living. It's important for us to be joyful in our workplaces and stop the fighting. All the world needs now is love. In fact, there's a movie Barbie. I learned that on set, they were so chummy and happy. The director created a joyful atmosphere. And look how successful it was. It will be imprinted in the sands of time. Incidentally, today is World Theatre Day, and the theme is, it highlights the role of theatre in fostering peace and understanding through the power of performance. So peace and love is key. So besides putting soul into whatever creative endeavor, I enjoin us all to look to the man in the mirror and change what you see if you don't like it, just like Michael Jackson advised us. Let's heal the world together. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That was a lot of sticky notes that I really liked. Thank you so much for it. Maybe you should not go and sit. You're coming back to sit with me. So now we're going to go into our quick panel side chat. Please, Uduak, IK, Floyd, please, you can join me on the podium. So I'm going to ask them a few questions, but I also expect that from the audience, you also have questions. So we'll do it fast. Can we get mics for my speakers? Get comfortable. Yeah. So where do I start from? Ladies first. Hi, Uduak.
Hi.
Okay, so you particularly spoke about breaking conventions, right? There's an existing market. But you said something about those brands really needed your value proposition, and they sought after that outside our culture. So you've taken both steps in your career. You have moved from doing this to going there. What gave you that courage to break from the norm? Like, what was it? Like, I mean, you can see a problem. We see problems, but what exactly was your push?
So I feel like that question is quite tricky to answer, because remember when Ike was talking about, you wonder, why can't I just be normal? It's like when you see some things, you can't unsee them. Do you understand? When you see a problem that you feel like you can solve and you care about that problem, there's something interesting that controversial figure, but Kanye West said that he loved music so much that he asked, what can I do to add to music? when you love something so much, you want like a friend or a partner, you want so much to point to that. If you love you love taking care of people, you love health, you want people to be well, and you're a doctor or you're a nurse or you work in the medical field, you can't just ignore that, you can't shake it away. So it's something that comes from within you, and sometimes you don't know why it's there, but you just have that drive to do that.
Thank you very much. Hi, IK. Okay, so for IK, what has been your biggest obstacle in building a lasting creative movement? Because you mentioned as to why you went into it. You saw that what was there was not just okay, right? But now that you are on the journey and you are navigating, what do you think has been the biggest challenge you've faced, and how are you navigating them? Because I would believe that people here also are building, they're solving problems and they are going through certain challenges. Will you share your thoughts?
For creatives, really in Nigeria, the biggest challenge is money. It's just like we want to just create. You get, but unfortunately, you just can't just create. You get, like I'm doing a concert. Why can't I just think about the music? Why have to think about having to rent a hall? You're charging me for it. Like, why? You get, and Nigeria is not a very great place for. I would say I will not say artistic expression, but I'll say it like that. You get, like let's say for music now, there are very few halls you can just go plug in and play and just do stuff. Do you get my point? And yeah, so I've said the great challenge is money, and that's where people like me come in. It's not as if I am the investor, but at least I've grown to a place where I say, okay, let's sit down together. How can we make it work? Do you get my point? So I've never been that guy, but right now I'm that guy. So
If you caught it, it just dropped you a business idea, but yes. I hope you caught it. There's a business idea somewhere there. If you didn't catch it. Okay. Hi, Floyd. Oh, yes. You spoke about character and being a creative. And there's been a lot of agitations as to what character a creative should embody, particularly being defined from different factions, people that want to take advantage of you and people that actually care and people that want to, just do business with creatives. And everybody speaks, oh, you should have character, you should have character. And, but I would like you to speak to what is acceptable character for a creative and what should define your character as a creative, because there's a lot of interests out there as a creative and you just want to create, but there's a business of creativity, right? So how do you define what your character should be as a creative? I don't know if that's...
So I think it boils back to professional integrity. You know who you are and what you want. So even as you're artistically inclined, you have to build the business aspect. If you're in a negotiation, you know your minimum and you stick to it, you accept what you want or not. In terms of character, just do the job. Do the job and do it well. Be kind to your employees and your co-actors. And know when to leave when the matters are getting shady or awry. You have to be alert because it's a dog-eat-dog world in the entertainment industry. So like you said, people may have interests. So just be alert and make sure that what you're doing is of God, right? And just be wise. Open your eyes.
Thank you, Floyd. A round of applause, please. If you didn't catch it, I did. Hi, Udwak. I'm back to you. So, how has being a Nigerian creative working with international brands shaped how you do your work, especially with the reputation that we enjoy as Nigerians? Especially because you mentioned that there were people who actually do these things, but they don't use the locals. They prefer the international brands. So how did that inform how you showed up as a creative?
I would say that, he talked about professional integrity. I think it's very important to sometimes even like overcompensate, especially in the beginning. So like a lot of times we would get to set, if sometimes we work with other members of the crew that are maybe not Nigerian, and we'll come to set before them. So it's just things like that to make them understand that you also have like a lot of value to give. And there are a lot of stereotypes that people say about Nigerian creatives or Nigerians generally. You have to look for ways to, you have to like actually be strategic about it. So you have to look for ways to intentionally counter that narrative. So if they say, oh, Nigerian, like a common thing people say generally, not even Nigerian, but that creatives go MIA. You have to, it's not enough for you to not just go MIA. You have to be in their faces. Before they ask you one question, you've already given them the answer. So instead of waiting till maybe you're supposed to submit something at 12 the next day, at 11, say, oh yes, you will still receive it in the next 1 hour. So you actually have to go out of your way to like counter a lot of those narratives, even in the way you conduct yourself. Because I was on one set that the foreign director, he was really acting out of character, threatening to walk off the set or shouting, and the person who he was, set, it happens on set, heat of the moment, the person that was doing BTS told the person to get out of his face, all those things. You as a Nigerian, you can't try that. Do you understand? Because, they just brushed it off. They were even like pampering him a bit. Don't worry, everything will be okay. It's like, he doesn't care. Once it's time for his flight, he'll enter the plane, he'll go. You as a Nigerian, you already know like the narrative that already exists. And so you can't conduct yourself in a certain way, even if things are not necessarily your fault. You just have to, like I said, in a way overcompensate. Overcompensating doesn't mean that you would be taken for a fool, right? You also have to, like, obviously state your terms of engagement and all those kind of things. Make things clear. When things are going out of bounds, you call someone aside, try to have a conversation with them, but you can't act out of character. Because even some things that they say Nigerians do, other people do those things. It's not just Nigerians, but that narrative is there, and you have to just work with it or like be strategic to go about it and show the value that you bring. Like at the end of the day, you have to deliver. If they are using Nigerians, so if the brands were not using Nigerians to execute this work, and now they are, you have to show why it's now a good decision for them to make. At the end of the day, show by like the actual quality of work you're doing. Give them what someone else cannot do. Bring what you bring to the table. Now, a typical example, right? Again, I go back to this whole Eba Negusi scenario. This was another shoot. But then you know how in Yoruba culture, if you want to eat like amala, like abula, you put the swallow and everything in the plate, right? Let's say where I'm from in Efi culture, it's almost an abomination to eat afang and eba in the same plate. So now a Moroccan director was telling us that we have to put the swallow and the thing in the same plate. I'm like, culturally, that doesn't resonate. We can't do that. Do you understand? And things like that are the things that tell the difference between when you're using a creator that is local because they understand the culture. And so I was bringing that to the table so that when they put the work out there, the Nigerians can connect because at the end of the day, that's what they want. And so when they were using people outside Nigeria, they were not giving them that because they didn't understand. In the end, our comp, was like, she insisted. I was like, no problem. We'll do it my way. Then we'll do it your way. But I want to make sure that my way is recorded.
Thank you so much. So it's not enough for us to be good, but you have to be exceptionally good. That's what I took from that. So not necessarily over compensating, but do your work and do it well. Elude your value and ensure that they see why they should hire you. Thank you very much, Udwak. Guy K, I'm back to you. God is a creative, and he has created us, and he has created a world that is sustained for a lot of years, right? How are you as a creative director and building initiatives like Aramanda Festival, Black Flame, God's Can Party, and the likes? How are you building in a way that it can thrive beyond your direct involvement? Because a lot of we creatives believe that we are the legend, and so it is us, right? But we're supposed to build sustainably that even after we've left the face of the earth, these things exist, right? So how are you doing that practically so we can learn?
I mean, I'll say that's a big question for the founder, but I'm founder for some, so I can try. All right. Employ people. I can remember around 2022, 23, Easter edition. Around that was like a week after my wedding. So imagine you planning that kind of event and you're planning wedding at the same time. It was, but somehow, people didn't know. Only people that knew that there was some hiccups were people in the team. You get that? I know that Ake is not available like that. You get, because I had to intentionally bring people into the project. I say, I feel disappear, just be here. Do you understand? So as much as possible, try to be open. I can do many things, but I'm having to learn how to bring people in. You get and not be fixated on how I want it to be exactly. And okay, we're trying to achieve a particular goal. How best can we achieve it? Does it have to be my way exactly? As long as the way works, that's my own. So I'm learning to make sure that, okay, let's find a way that works instead of having to be my own way. So allow people just express in the team, honestly, and for normal businesses, obviously, you have to register the business. You have to get the law things you get so that someone else cannot come and carry it from you. You get so stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. See, we're looking at him when we were mentioning law,
Yeah, I mean, it's your field.
Okay, thank you very much. Basically, in building sustainability, what I hear you say is that we need to think beyond ourselves and not just build for ourselves, bring people in and also ensure that you hear them out and you pour knowledge, you hear from them, and you build something beyond yourself. That's what I hear you say. Yes. Hi, Floyd, I'm back to you.
Hello.
You are a writer. And I understand that being a writer is also carrying a responsibility of culture and how you shape the society around you. So having that understanding, how do you show up as a writer? How does that influence how you write, what you write, and the people you write it to as a Christian creative?
Okay, so I don't write very often, but the little times I do, I look to do something that will be educative and something that will show our cultural identity. Cultural development is something that is very important, especially for our future and posterity. It's a pity that many times the government doesn't want to look to our direction. They don't think it's priority, as opposed to people abroad who take cultural development very seriously. In fact, in American movies, you will see the flag each time pushing themselves and the idea of efficiency and success and all of that. But we reflect life as writers, and sometimes you want to satirize things that are happening. You have to teach. For comedy, sometimes we say it's sweet instruction because you're teaching the people while instructing them, but with a little sugar around the edges so that it's like giving a child medicine with honey or something like that. So I like to teach with my art. I like to entertain with my art. As an artist, I really like to share. If I'm asked to perform for an audience, I like to put my soul into it. I have to leave my heart there on the floor for you because I'm interested in transporting you taking your daily cares away, and it's out of genuine love, not because I want an award, but a genuine desire to make you feel happy, to edify and to gratify. So that is how I approach performing or writing.
Thank you. So I'm going to, after this last question, I'm going to ask Uduak, or is it I can't ask? Okay, I'll open the floor. So if you have any questions, you can start to pen them down or think about it. So, hi Uduak. So I know that a lot of creatives start with a lot of energy. They have an idea they want to build and they're building it, and then they struggle with sustaining the momentum. How do you, as a creative who has moved from one venture to the other, how do you maintain momentum? And not just momentum, but the quality of the work that you do, and you maintain that all the time and showing up. Just help us.
I think a good hack is the people you spend time with. So just intentionally try to surround yourself with people who are also building. It could even be creative ventures. It could even be non-creative ventures. I think they help to give you momentum, and sometimes you're down and other people need to pull you up, and sometimes other people are down and you need to pull them up. So I think that's one great hack of just sustaining momentum, just not doing things in isolation. Then it could be partnering with someone as well, if you have like a partner in your venture. But I mean, if you don't have that and you're solo, just make sure you have, I mean, we talk a lot about community, but I don't want it to use the word community because sometimes that seems very deep or serious, or like just seems like a lot of people. But just to make sure that you're not alone, share your ideas with people. But when I mean people, I don't just mean like anyone, random people you meet, but develop like trusted friendships and trusted relationships with people that you can share ideas with. And when you're over it, when you would want to give up, you're able to actually tell them, I'm tired of this thing, or this thing is really hard. Sometimes it'll be like, me too, I'm tired, and you guys would just sulk to yourselves or complain to yourselves. But like the next day, my sister is smiling because she understands. But the next day, you just pick yourself up. Like recently, I was complaining to a friend of mine about just like trying to expand my client base and everything. And he like didn't give me a pat of the back. He was just like, nobody's coming to save you. Like, and the next day when I woke up on my laptop, I'm saving myself. Like, do you understand? I was thinking he would tell me, oh, don't worry, everything. He said, you better hustle. Oh. So, yeah, so you just need to be around people that will just, like, pick you up.
Thank you. Just before you go again, I would like you to, because you spoke about designing and opting for the life that you want. And as a creative, as a business person, how do you balance that? Because I want to be a baby girl, but I also need to work. I want to be a soft girl, but how do you balance that? The reality of it, the reality of being a wife, the reality of being a creative, being a mother, being all that wrapped into one. So in opting daily, what are the practical steps that you would give us as we are going home today?
Okay, so my practical steps might be very meticulous.
Love it.
Again, my sister is coughing.
We love it. We love it. Yes, we do.
What did you say? My practical steps might be very meticulous. I timetable my day and my month and my year. So a friend of mine wanted to have lunch with me after church last Sunday. I told her we can do third week in April. We can do third week Sunday. Like, and I mean, sometimes I'm spontaneous. Like one time it was my friend's birthday. I mean, obviously I knew it was her birthday, and it was a Monday night, and she wanted to do it on her birthday. And I stayed awake past my bedtime to do all those things. So I'm spontaneous. But aside that, I'm very like routine about my day and my week and so if I want to be able to spend time with maybe my family member, it could be a particular family member, and I put it down in my calendar that I'm going to do this maybe on this specific Saturday. So the same way I'm a serious person, right? But people would think that necessarily means being a workaholic. I'm actually not a workaholic. I'm just serious about all aspects of life. So I'm serious about my work. I'm serious about enjoying life. I'm serious about the clothes I wear. Every aspect of life, I'm serious about. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm serious in the seemingly unserious things or the mundane things. And so I make time out for that. So most times during the week, and I don't work a 9 to 5 per se, although obviously I work with 9 to 5 clients, so sometimes I have to fit into that calendar. So what I do practically during the week, even if I don't work a 9 to 5 and I'm a creative, so technically I'm supposed to be flexible, I lock into my work during the week. During the week, I'm mostly focused on my work. So I'm not doing anything. If you see me anytime post enjoyment in during the week, trust me, I'm a throwback. Do you understand? I'm doing my work during the week. Like, again, like I said, sometimes there are exceptions, the friend's birthdays, a particular activity. Then my weekends, sometimes I work on weekends. But if I don't work on weekends, I make sure that I am not working on weekends. I would do stuff that fill other cups on weekends. So I'm part of a book club. I do my book club stuff. I'm part of a food club. I do my food club things. I spend time with my friends. I do all the aspects of my life on the weekends. And during the week, I make sure that I'm focused. One time, my friend was telling me to do like a day in the life video. I said, my day in the life is wake up, gym, come back home, eat breakfast, walk, eat lunch, walk, eat dinner, sleep. That's it. Then the next day, I go again, and I go again, and I go again. So I just try to be very meticulous about my day. So at the beginning of my Monday, I can already tell you how my entire Monday will go. At the beginning of my Tuesday, I can tell you how my entire Tuesday will go. Things like that. So I'm just very intentional about that, because if you're not intentional, you just move with the wind. You find that you don't have time for any friend. You find that you don't have time for any family member or any other activity. But if you plan yourself, then you would be able to.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Edward. Don't be the wind. Put a system to your winding. Okay, IIK, since you said you are the wind.
I said creatives are the wind.
So I also like to hear practical steps from you. And this is speaking to intentional creativity in creating a legacy. And a lot of your work that you do is also culture shaping. It's redefining the mind. As you've said, you have the burden to redefine what we see on MTV Base, right? So what are the practical steps that I, as a creative, need to do to be intentional about the legacy that my work leaves behind? What are the things that I need to do as a creative to leave an indelible mark, just like my maker?
First, knowledge. Like in this industry, as I most times you see, every 2 market days you see on Mr. Blog, this friend is fighting. This record label did this stuff. Just get knowledge, to be honest. I know most times creatives are like, nah, we are high up there. Like, you guys are mortals. Creatives, you're in their headspace, man. Like, as I would behave like gods, you get like, I know creatives, they have this, is borderline. But I won't say it like that. Any world, you get my point. So just try to calm down. Calm down, get knowledge, then go back. And that's one, get knowledge. Secondly, most times as a manager, I just pray that God, I want to honestly have like results. At the end of the day, it's results, man. Like a popular Artists will say, no be cho, show walkings, show walkings. You go explain tire. You get, so you honestly need to have like results at the end of the day. I mean, you are saying you want to do music, you want to do this, you want to do this. Why my parents were able to like step down a bit is like, this point only the colors for money. Oh. Like, it's not useless. Like, you get my point, like, just honestly have results. If you are saying you want to go through this path, you get, you honestly have to find every way possible with God. You get my point? That with God is very, very key. You get, and just have results. And may not come easy. Yeah, no, some people get it easy. In this industry, I'm saying some people actually get it easy. Just see it, this life is balanced in Jesus' name. But there are people that actually get it easy. It's just autopilots. I'm wondering, I've been in this industry for 10 years. This person is just 1 year in this industry and is up there, and you are wondering what's going on. Like, if you skill level, you get my point. It's for creative space. As I most of the time, people are very depressed and all of that. It's because of you get my point. Like, for working class 9 to 5, to be honest, it's usually like you walk linear pathway. Like, you can move from one step, one phase to the other. Creative space is different. You just open Instagram page, 50,000 likes, followers. You have been growing it, posting every day. Be like Uduak. You have been meticulous. But this guy just came in. Chooks just dropped video. Bro, he don't go. You get my point? So that's why I say with God and just pray. Just pray honestly to just get results. To get as much as possible. Get doings, just have results. Were you meticulous?
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
No, you did one. I saw you did one post. Let's not go there. Yeah. So yeah, with God. With God. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ike. Hi.
Hello.
So, final advice before I give the mic to the house. If you could give one piece of advice to creatives seeking to build a legacy of good work beyond their lifetime, what would it be?
Well, I think that there's only one of you. God has created you in a unique way. So embrace your uniqueness. Why look to be someone else when you can just be you? So embrace it. Each time I'm given like something to perform, I usually ask myself, how has it not been done before? What can I bring that is essentially me? So sometimes I'll think of levels. Maybe I should add an overhead, lower. Maybe I should lie on the floor. I've not seen anyone do that before. I think of color because these are things that they will remember long after that color, long after you're gone. I'd say be disciplined because discipline to me is like doing something that you need to do even when it's not convenient. You need to work hard to shine. And that consistency is also required. Not today this, tomorrow you're down in the dumps again. You have to keep going and pushing. Performance it's intrinsically hard and it can be lonely. Sometimes long run in theater, you're backstage, you're fatigued, your voice is cracking, but you have to perform. The audience wants to see a star. The ballerina's feet is hurting, probably, but she's going to give you a show because she has to. So have that grit, have that willingness to share and love, and you'd imprint your performance on the sands of time.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open it to the house. Okay, the microphone. Please, somebody help me? Yes. So we start with Obi,
Okay.
then the gentleman
you.
beside him, and then we have Tamara, and then I think that should be okay, Bernard.
Okay, this is very, very, very touching to have a friend of mine called me and told me 5 minutes. He called me and said, I'm the reason why my family is still poor. Right, so he was very intentional with that call. And that conversation broke me, and because he knew where we were coming from, all the way from Benin. I was one of the rising stars. You know, I was 22 when I did the first jazz concert in Benin, and it was very, very, very the thing at that time. And Dr. Foy came in and said, Obi, you are in Nigeria. And then he advised me to come to Lagos. The first time I came to Lagos was Pastor Fedi's wedding, and I sang at his wedding. So everybody came to me and say, every time I, do my stuff, and they say, Guy, you are for the world. Like, people start getting suggestions, and like, this is how I see you on stage, and all that. Pastor Fedi had different concept about my music and stuff. So, I changed my name over 5 times. So before Pastor Ferdinand said, Obi, your name is Obi Nelson, and then Serenade Band, the Serenade. So I had journeyed through these phases, and all I had got was encouragement, words of encouragement, and Bernard. So I want to ask, the good news for me is that, Abiola, we are on this path, right? The good news for me is that Bernard will tell me, Obi, don't worry, your music, you will grow with your music, because it's like fine wine, right? It's not like I'm whiskeyed. I was 30 today. Tomorrow I'll be 50. I can no longer do my music. So jazz transcends through the age, and as I'm growing older, it becomes better. So, no. So, in this part of the world where I chose this type of music, jazz, it's been a whole lot of struggle. My first professional suit was given to me by Dr. Foy. When I wore that suit, it was coat. Like, I could feel the weight of the coat, because he had an idea. But after then, there was no money to fund Obi Nelson, and I was left. He didn't leave me. I was left. Obi, go home. I was so ashamed to return home, because I had told my parents that I'm coming back home with success. So I was in a state. I was in school, campus hostel for 1 year, and I was washing dishes to eat, right? And I was carrying something that I know that I've not seen anybody sound like that. Literally, I haven't heard anybody connect this sound the way I can. But yet, everybody I came across was only, sir, Guy, you will make it, Guy. You go far. So how can I go on with this kind of concepts around me? Thank you.
Do you want us to take all the questions first? Okay, so would you then take notes? Yes. No, so we have the gentleman beside Obi. Okay, Tamara. So, I give you that question. I assign it to you.
See how deep that question is.
You are a man of wisdom, sir. Hi, Tamara. Oh, sorry.
Good evening. My question is for Mr. Floyd. How do you avoid helicopter directing? How can you ensure quality control as well, at the same time allowing for your actors' authenticity?
To start,
So we take all questions. I know you're eager. You have it. You're about to drop it. But we'll take all the questions so we can just answer at once. Yes, sir.
All
You can
right,
introduce yourself because we sort of, yes.
Okay, praise the Lord. Hey.
Hi. Hallelujah.
Okay, my name is Idaga Ransom Ekama, but I'm known as Idaga most of the time. So I'm a musical artist, I'm an actor, and also a fashion designer. Yeah, so my question is directed to Mr. Floyd and Mr. Ikechukwu. So, yeah. So, yeah, I have a fashion show coming up by August. So, I know that you are into event, production and, artist management, and at least I know some events you've, been part of, and it has always been a success. So, there are some ideas. I do attend some, though. I attend some. So, so I wanted to ask, like, how do you go about, getting people to sponsor the event? Financially. Yeah, because
Bernard should answer that question.
yeah, because I've been able to sort out some basic things. Yeah, I've been able to sort out some basic things, which is the venue and but right now is the funds, the money. So I wanted to ask, like, yeah. So and then Mr. Floyd, so I'm an actor as well. I'm a musical artist. Yeah. So sometimes I feel like, am I not doing too much? Like, because I'm into music. Sometimes I go on stage for productions, mostly in our church, and I'm also running a fashion brand as well. So sometimes I'm like, am I not doing too much? Like, am I not really doing too much? But sometimes I'm like, I have to, because I can't just leave anyone. Like, whenever I try to stop, I'm like I'm wasting away. So I just always want to be doing. So, like, how do I really?
Thank you.
Yeah. So how do I really help myself and like focus, like try to be able to do all these things and do them well without getting to juggle around. So,
Thank you very much, Aga. Bernard, I think that's the last question.
Okay. Wow. Is in line with what they've said. Is in line with what they've said. We are all creatives in Nigeria. Trying to navigate economic problems, still be authentic. People will tell me, you can go this route, but it's long, and you need money to live. Do mainstream, do Afrobeat, so that at least they will know you. And then you struggle with that, because when you sit down to write, it's not Afrobeat that is coming. And you don't want to also look like you are an opportunist. Yeah, you have to be you have to be intentional, because so how do you navigate that? Because it's not also bad advice in the sense of it. It's not bad advice to be appealing to a more larger crowd. But you also know that that is not authentic. And what also defines your art is authenticity. It's the sound of the genuine. Hello. Right. So how do you, this is for you that pioneered a path that you didn't see was mainstream? What was that thing? Is it just following the greats and the God and whatever it was, and even getting people to pay attention? Were you, I know you were not hungry doing it, but some of us, we have to navigate feeding and all that. So how do you navigate that whole path where you're not looking like you're stupid, but you are also on that path where it looks like, okay, yeah.
Thank you very much. Do we want to start with you, Mr. Floyd? Thank you.
So the lady in black asked me how my reaction towards helicopter directing. So I'd like to start by saying that every director has their style. Some like to sit on a horse and hold a whip and threaten to give strokes of the cane. Some like soft power. You know, it just depends on your temperament, because everyone is born with a temperament. I, for one, I like to be collaborative, because one of your first duties as a director is casting. So you're likely to cast people you trust, right? So why not let them also make their input instead of towering over them? Guess what? At the end of the day, you still get the credit if what they said was good and you added it, right? So it's a picture puzzle, different pieces coming together, and I don't take anybody for granted, from the lighting guy's suggestions to the prop guy. There might just be a gem there, so don't shove it aside yet. Here, know what to sieve and know what you add to make sure that your vision comes out as you had intended. So, the gentleman, what's your name again? This Idaga. Okay, let's start by telling you that you're not doing too much. I think that because God will not give you all the gifts if He doesn't think that you cannot handle it. What I think you can do is try to make each of those gifts you think you have as excellent as you can. It might be tough to navigate that, but you never know what can come out of it. And I feel like what you can't control, just leave it. Do the much you can. You have it in you. It's just to find it and bring it out and navigate. God will take care of it. You also speak to Him from time to time and hear Him advise you on how to carry on, because He has given you those gifts. So you're not doing too much. Just try to be excellent at what it is you have. You can prioritize, your skills. No, this is my number one, and then you put effort accordingly. It's tough, because I, for one, have a range of things that I like to do. Sometimes I find that there's no time to really delve into some, just like drawing and painting. And with art, you need to keep sharpening them. So sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I hope you can still, put colors together. But don't worry, it's there. It's just for you to now deliberately wake up at 2 a.m. and say, you know what? I'm going to bring out my poster color and I'm going to do this. It's just like one of the biggest problems I see with actors is that they're very busy, back-to-back set life. So you find that you don't even have time to connect with your friends anymore. Your hobbies are disappearing. You used to read, and now it's hard. But that now means that you have to now be intentional and press the stop button at some point and say, you know what, let me take some time to refill my artistic well. And then you go and do what you need to do. I think that for my reaction to you, you talked about authenticity versus what mainstream wants. So music production is not really my forte, but I feel like if you have the chance to diversify, why not by all means do it? But if you feel like that one genre is what you find authentic and what you can give, stick to it. I feel like your audience will find you, even if it's not immediate. Eventually, you just persevere and wait. Sometimes you wait longer and the harvest is bountiful, right? But you should be proud of what God has instilled in you rather than pursuing what may not be you.
Thank you very much. IK, I think you were Obi Nelson's question as well as Bernard's question. I think you can also speak to him as well. Yes, thank you.
Ask me. Let me start with Obi Nelson's question. Music is in waves. if you all remember, when I know that we're not the same age, but you remember some years ago where it was hip hop. You remember there was a time it was reggae, it was dancehall. Like they usually have like their times, and it's more like where the waves are. Like once it's just moving, anybody that plugs into it just gets results. Do you understand? Obviously, when jazz was popping, I don't think I was born then. No, and trust me, when jazz was the wave, you know what I'm saying? When jazz was the wave, like how big dancehall was. Do you get my point? There was a time like the top guys were like jazz guys. Do you get my point? Like it's not as if like there was time it was country music. They all have their own times. Right now, it's looking as if it's Afrobeat. No, just this Afrobeat. You get my point? No, it's not. Yeah, it's not global like that yet. But you see Tyler with Water. You see Chris Brown also winning an award on the Afrobeat genre. You're wondering, guy, you're not even Nigerian. but it is what it is. Do you get my point? It is what it is. So I can remember one particular time. Like I told you, I did rock music for 9 years. Exactly. So imagine. I know. So imagine doing a particular genre. There was time it was rock music. I felt like I was destined for it. Do you get my point? Like you play it, you love it. I love it. But it got to a point where I remember one particular interview was Johnny Drew that was sitting. It was the panel session. This music done the enter and that thing. It was a panel session. Johnny Drew was sitting and they asked him this question. And I'm sure you all know when Johnny started, the music was very folk. And we all like, okay, where is it going? Now we can see where he has landed. But at the same time, if you also hear him sing, there's still that thing is still there. Then I said, okay, I really want to do this. No, I do not continue with that genre. Let's say I really want to do this jazz. This is maybe impractical. Yeah? And I also want to feed at the same time. There's a wave that is going. If you notice Afro beats, there are even different types of Afro beats. There's now Afro soul. People as Afro or Malay, Afro depression. You get my point? Like you just get, you just get, but there are different shades of it. Sometimes you ask yourself, okay, this is what is a wave, and I want to do this. How can I marry the two? It takes, to be honest, it might take you time. Not time, like it take you your energy to actually focus, like, how can I craft it to mix? It's not rocket. I'm seeing people have done it before. People have mixed it before. How can I mix it? Because this is, no matter I want to do it, you should not make no genre of top Afro. As long as Afrobeat that is raining now, it's just going to just rain. Checking my point, like, after a time, we don't know what genre will come up next. When that one comes up,
Bernard, Mike.
Somewhere inside, deep down my soul, that any time I wear suits, especially black and white shirts, and then maybe a black bow tie, something just clicks, right? It feels like my personality comes alive. So I don't know where I got it from. So I still feel that thing that if I dress my complete, that regalia of jazz, I start to beat towards that direction, and the people who are supposed to hear me in this time and age. So what about people like us who actually came with that essence? Like my surrounding, if you catch me in my elements, I can capture you for hours. Well, I've had experience with Abiola at the Delbro, where there was just an experience of people be like, this thing was in our time. I mean, the guys were about 60. These things, this guy caught the revelation. So people like us, how can we thrive?
Okay. So the thing again, there is Lagos Jazz. There's Lagos Jazz Club. It's a WhatsApp group of a lot of jazz-loving people. I've been in that club for maybe 5 years. I think I'm even one of the youngest in that club. There's a lot of old people. But, like what Ike said, music is in wave. But then again, there is never a time where a genre dies of fans. So there would always be mainstream, but there is always an audience. Yes. And one of the things I'll try and say, the distraction of and the tension of I must blow, it's a self-induced cultural mind pressure that doesn't just do anything. Now let me give you the backstory. We're talking to this guy, some guys in Melvin, and I think the guy was explaining somehow. A lot of times, most of these artists are funded, but they pay back. Yes. So when they go for shows, you cannot not go for show. You've spent money, so you have to go for shows. You understand? So at that level, but the point is, why don't we first of all get off that thing and just do music? We do music from a place of joy, enjoyment, love making. Secondly, structure it. I think one of the things that is missing is not that your style is not there. An artist who is able to structure itself will succeed more than an artist who doesn't have a structure. That's just a given. So as a creative person, you have to every year have like 1 or 2 shows you are planning for yourself. Those ones have to be your own thinking. How do I capture my intimate audience? How do I cultivate them? Somebody may invite you, they may not invite you. It's not but at least have your own. So you have to understand there is a business here. And that business requires structure, discipline, consistency, marketing, positioning. In the last 3 months, if you checked, just even playing at Delbro was an exposure. So what you should be asking yourself, where is my next Delbro? Where is the next place in Lagos that I can plug in and plan something with them that can give me a level of exposure? And how do I sustain the community I've built? And how do I take them from fans into a tribe? Right? Where they are willing to pay for it and support you. So you need to have your structure and strategy that might involve you collaborating with other sounds, plugging with other sounds, but also staying true to who you are. Doing a song with an Afro artist does not change you from being a jazz artist. That is tapping into each other's market. Comedians do it. Just brought some weird-looking guys. We're going to lay hands on them. You understand? On Sunday, he brought them in. But my point is that that's collaboration. So the question is, what are the collaborators you want to explore that you both can expand your audience? Because the sum of your audiences is greater than, how do they put it in maths? Like the sum of its parts is greater than the whole. Is that the idea? So once 2 of you come together, you realize that there's an exponential effect. And that's why I love what you guys are trying to do. But the structure is important. And for you, when you spoke about a multi-potentialite, so sit on structure, you have a manager, there's a strategy, you have to plan borrow from Udrak, have the impetus. Or what did she say again? To meticulous, be meticulous about your year. Detail it, you understand? There are some brands, like you said, that you can approach. She went for mid-level, at least she didn't go for Bacha restaurant. She went for some class, right? And in the midst of that, other people, Bailey's reached out. The point is that beyond emotion, you understand, a parked car has no attention. So the other part again is that you spoke about having too many things. I don't think it's a problem. Most of us in this community here have that multi-potential crisis of passion. What you need part time is to have the strategy to not stretch yourself thin. So for instance, if you're planning a show in August, can you free July, June, so that show can work? If you are saying August now fashion, I'm doing a music in July, trust me, you're not giving it the attention it requires to come to full potential. So the question is that it's not about doing too many things, it's about planning everything that you do, finding collaboration so you're not stretching thin, and you have an epic outing. You understand? In all, collaborate where you need to collaborate. Collaboration is the new capital. There are some things your money can do for you. If you cannot find the money, find somebody that can do for you. Right? But if you're here, please don't be waiting for an opportunity. Create them.
I want to ask, just from this, please. What of the idea of this niche thing, Pastor? Sorry, sir. what of the idea of this niche thing? You have to have a niche. You need to have a niche. I just wanted to speak to that too, because it's been really this niche ideology.
So I think the idea of okay, now give me an example in terms of your comedian. When they say have a niche, you like have a gospel niche.
Actually, no. There are different types of comedy. Yes.
But I believe that it's very difficult to like box everything to that niche.
No.
The niche is no niche.
Okay, the niche, your niche is every niche. Okay. There's a brand that is a non-brand. And that non-brand is a brand. It just doesn't brand itself. Anyway, what I would say to being a niche, I think everything comes down to strategy. Right? You have to also lean in to see where your growth curve is. There's a time when a brand is not too strong to be stretched. Right? And I think for me, I also like to use my intuition and data. So first of all, I'll trust my intuition to show me the way. I'll use data to decide. So if I do something and my intuition is telling me, but I'm thinking at that point in time, I need to retweak something. Right? And that's iterate. So the question is not about boxing yourself, but about allowing your something to run fully for you to see if it is really, really giving what it needs to do. So at the end of the day, niche should not be boring. I would also say if you want to have a niche, how can you be creative within that space so that at the end of the day, people will not be like, it's the same content I'm seeing. How am I bringing more creativity? Right? So don't be worried. I think you should also know that there's a time when you know it's time to expand. Everyone knows that if you're really paying attention, you don't just, if you expand too quickly, you get diluted and you might even kill the brand. And somehow, if you expand too late, you get constipated and you might now be boxed or stereotyped. So the question is navigating like with the Spirit. And I think we can't take that out from our conversation because there is a part of everything that we do here that is the whispers of the Spirit. Just know you wake up one day, something say, post this thing like this, and it catches like fire. Nobody knows that. That is something, that's the ways of the Spirit. We also lean in. For everything that the Spirit says to you, lean in. Right? So keep doing what you're doing, testing the water. Is it growing? If it's growing, fine. When you come to a point where you feel a sense that, okay, I want to try something, you try, but use your data, but also trust your intuition.
So because of our time, Ike, do you want to wrap up? Wrap up that question answering, and then we'll go to
okay. Like I was saying to Obi Nelson, you mentioned like collaboration, like try and mix genres, and also the community really funds an artist. That's the honest truth. If you know what to do, your community actually funds you, and you just have to find a way to keep engaging that community. Like how often do you send mails to your community? How often do you interact with your community? How often do your community meet? Do you understand? Do you have a place where community people can chip in 1K or 2K into your account easily with just going to your website and just doing that? Are there avenues where they can also give back to you as an artist? Do you get my point? So you need to also create those channels easily for your core. Now for sponsorship, most time when most people that do events, when they think sponsor, they always think about angel investor. It's not like that. Or they are also looking for values. Do you get my point? It's value for value. That's the honest truth. If you cannot offer them the value, they'll go to someone else that can offer the value to them. So if you are looking for sponsors, ask yourself, what can I give to this person? Do you get my point? Also think about, if you are the person that have the money, will you put money here? Do you get my point? So that's how you have to think about it, to be honest. So once you have that in mind, and also don't always think about big companies. Yes, send emails to big companies, but also when I think about events, your band members will eat. Who do I have as my friend that is doing one food something? Come now, guy. Come and supply us food. I'll put your logo front. Do you understand? Okay, so I have a guy that does sound. How can we leverage on your people? That's how you start from there. Do you get my point? Then from there, you grow your brand to the point where you can start meeting MTN or have an audience about 5,000 people coming around for this particular event. And you can have that conversation. Until then, bro.
I think I would like to also add to that is for also yourself to see yourself as a brand. Before you can ask somebody to invest in you, you need to see yourself as value. that they can put money in. So that informs how you present yourself to them. You're not going there, please come and help me. Is, oh, I have this, you need this. This is this. Does that make sense? So, Uduak, yes.
Bernard wants it. I actually have a couple of things to say to them as well, but since you want me to answer yours, I'll start with you. So, and I kind of know that you already do this, so I guess maybe it's an encouragement as well. If you've struggled to create the kind of music that they tell you to create because it's mainstream, that means you're genuinely not really interested in it, right? Is it pride? Okay, or like, I mean, they mentioned like collaborations, and I would say that. But I'll also say that whilst you're working on like your music that you want to record and the kind of music you want to put out, I think you could also do other things within the music space. Like, I know you write for people as well. You're a songwriter. So those are other ways to get money as well. If like the main thing that you want to do isn't bringing in the funds that you need to do. I think whilst you're doing the main thing as well, you can still look towards all those other channels that still relate to music. So they still help you, they still improve your skills or just your experience. So I think that's what I have to add to that. I feel like IK answered that better because he wants to address it.
Ben Aaron is pride. It's as simple as that. Because I've heard some of your songs that are actually Afrobeats. I'm like, just drop the jam, guy.
Yes,
just drop the jam.
Just
drop it. You heard it. Say you don't want to be. I don't want to be seen in that light. I am superior.
Who gave you
It's that same creative thing. No, I'm serious. It's not paying me. It's that creative thing.
Pastor Ike, sir?
Just like Beyonce dropped a rock song. Like fast, she won a rock, and she won Grammy for a rock song. She's not a rock artist. No, she won. The country was different. Rock, she did rock at some point, and if she won it, you don't have to. In fact, it was. And sometimes when we think of Afrobeat, sometimes we think it's just kokum. It's not kokum. Like I said, there are different genres. You can say it's okay. In my own way, I want to be adding pidgin, because when a Nigerian hears pidgin, there's a way it gets to us. Do you get my point? I don't want to do English alone. I want to just add pidgin. I just put small kokum inside it. Before you know it, small.
No. So Uduak is going to round up for us.
Bernard, I feel like there was one song that I told you about that there was a snippet. I think that was a bit like Afro. Because I know I heard pidgin in it. There was a song, I can't remember the name, but it was a collaboration with someone else. There was a bit of pidgin, but it still sounded like your sound because it was very introspective. But okay, so I wanted to speak to your question. Is your name Idaga, right? Okay. So like there are two things I have to say, right? Okay, there are two things I have to say, or two sort of options. One could be for you to create sort of a unique persona that merges the different things that you're interested in together. So for instance, there are roles for actors that can sing. So that could, in a way, be something that you begin to be the person that is a go-to for that. So an actor who can sing, when they want people for those kind of roles, you come to mind. So I think you need to find a way to like merge and show how each one feeds off each other. And then another thing that you can also do is, since literally daily you have like 24 hours, right? So there's only so much time you can give to each one. I think per time you could also focus on one, and you could also use the business angle to decide which one to focus on. So the different industries you're interested in, which one do you see like a gap that you feel your current skill sets can tackle? Do you understand? And the other ones, you may not abandon them completely. You could continue feeding into them as hobbies. You could continue honing your skills, but you're just doing it from a business perspective. You have this skill right now, and the industry needs this particular thing you can offer. So let me give context. For instance, I really like fashion, right now in the fashion industry, I don't see what I have to give. So I see what I have to give in some other industries. So I'm pouring myself into those. Maybe in the future, I would see what I have to give. So I still cultivate it as a hobby. I still learn about it. I'm not detached from it. Do you get? So when the time comes and if opportunities emerge, I would be able to plug myself into it. But if I'm trying to tackle it right now, I know that I don't really see what it needs from me right now. So that's something you can also employ. Then, Chooks, I kind of wanted to talk about like niche. I don't know if you know this in content called like content pillars, right? And so I think you could see your niche as like your hero content, and that could be based on data, what performs very well, or maybe what you're really good at and what you're known for. But then because this is the media world, things change like so often, right? And you obviously, as a creative, you have other ideas. Even if you like one particular thing, you have other ideas. You could still feed those in. They are not the main ones you're known for, but you could still use those to test the waters. You might have this one you're known for and your niche, but then you have another idea. You wouldn't forget about your niche completely, but you start just feeding in other things, and then you realize, okay, this one is picking up. You could try out that one. So you have your niche, but don't abandon the others completely.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I think I want to take one more question. Should I? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you to our speakers. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful evening. So I do hope that at the end of this night, we've been able to convince and not confuse you that God is a creator and you have work to do. Yes.
There's a class we're trying to start called Creative Lab, and the idea is to really just look at how, from the point of kingdom structure, how to take a creative business from start to scale. And I really think if there's anything I've done for the most 10 years, it's actually experimenting with creative concepts. And I've been fortunate enough to see what has failed and what needs to work. But I really think that class, prepare for it, we put out the word, you are selected for it. The idea is we want to make a case where how do we bring people that can teach about the financing, access to capital, people that can talk about the structures around your IP, protect them, people that can talk about your pathway to market, right? All of these things you can't have enough of them, but we want to tailor it so well so it can deliver. See you guys on Sunday.
So, again, for those who are new here, this is the Tribe Nation. We meet here every Thursday and Sunday. If you would like to give, an envelope is going around. I don't know if the media team can help me put up the account number. Thank you very much for coming. See you on Sunday. All right, bye-bye. Oh, yes, so there's refreshment at the back. If you look back, don't rush home. You can connect. Yes, connect, and just meet somebody again, and there's a refreshment at the back.